Welcome back to the 21 Convention of Orlando, Florida 10-year anniversary special event. Our next speaker has been a long time coming to this event for a few different reasons. Personal, professional, all kinds of interesting things. He's also the first black speaker we've ever had at the event. He's also the best-selling author of Mode 1, which you can get on Amazon.com, and he's also known as the godfather of verbally direct game. Without further ado, please help me welcome Roger Currie to the stage. Welcome. Thanks, sir. Kick some ass.
See, when you get familiar with me, I would loosely, and I mean very loosely, compare myself to the speaker, Joe Navarro, who reads people. I constantly read people, primarily women, but men as well. The reason why a lot of you all are here is because you want to be inspired. You're looking for that breakthrough moment. That breakthrough moment, a confidence breakthrough, a backbone breakthrough, a motivation breakthrough. First, I want to give credit to Anthony. I thank him most sincerely for inviting me here. And an extra special thanks to Rollo Tomasi for referring me and recommending me. Now, Rollo, he challenges me because when I read any of his books, I have to have a thesaurus right next to the book because he's just deep, and I respect him immensely. But when I was talking about breakthrough, Anthony mentioned I'm the first black speaker. I didn't think that could happen in 2017, but I'm honored. My last full-time job, 9-to-5 job before I became a dating coach full-time, was working at a university with young brothers from the inner city. And a lot of them were the first in their family to ever attend college. I had this one young brother. He loved to skip class, wasn't doing his homework. So I had him come to my office. I was talking to him. And as I just looked at you guys, I just looked at him. I said, "What's going on?" He came out with a whole bunch of excuses. One of them, the proverbial, "Well, Mr. Currie, you're an older black man, you know, the white man is trying to keep us down." I said, "Is there any white male singer that you love?" He said, "Justin Timberlake. I love Justin Timberlake." I said, "So, when you were trying to get out of bed the other morning, Justin Timberlake was keeping you in the bed." He laughed like you guys are. He said, "No, Mr. Currie, you tripping, man." I said, No, seriously. When you were supposed to be at that 8:30 class, Justin Timberlake was outside of your house going, "No, you can't go to class. No." Oh, Mr. Currie. I said, "You can choose to go through the rest of your life making excuses. Society will give women a pass for that. Society will give children and teenagers a pass for that. But when you are a fucking man, you don't get a pass to make excuses." I said, "You become accountable for your life. Become accountable right now, right this moment." And he got real serious. Because he had this look like, I thought you were going to be on my side. I thought you were going to co-sign with my excuses. I said, I'm not going to coddle you. I'm going to challenge you to become a man right now. I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get a journal. I want you to think about everybody who doubted you, underestimated you, said you're not going to be shit. And you use that as a powerful form of motivation every single day from this point forward. And when you have those breakthroughs, I want you to go like this. That represents vindication. I said, say it with me. And he said, vindication. I said, say it again. He said, vindication. Now fast forward. This young brother was the first one to get a degree in his family. He made the dean's list. And he saw me. And he was overwhelmed with emotion when he saw me. He couldn't even get words. We exchanged a powerful stare. And he just went like this. He became a man. So a lot of you guys in here, in your own way, are looking for, again, your breakthrough moment. Like, I'm a big movie buff. And I love, among other movies, I love movies that show a fictional character having a breakthrough moment. I'm gonna cite 3 real quick. Who in here did not see A Few Good Men? Did not see it. Okay, I apologize, I'm gonna give you a spoiler for it. Tom Cruise plays an attorney, Lieutenant Daniel Kaffee. And his thing is, he's the master of the plea deal. Nobody provokes plea deals better than Daniel Kaffee. But he avoids litigation like it's the plague. So 2 guys get accused of murder, and he tries to get a plea deal for them. But the 2 soldiers who are charged with murder, they don't want a plea deal. Because see, I'm sure there's men in here who have served in the armed services. I never have, but I've had relatives who have. It's different in civilian life. And they point that out in the movie. See, in the armed services, when you give an order, that order is always followed. Always. Matter of fact, there's a scene when Jack Nicholson's character, Nathan Jessup, tells a soldier, I want you to contact Castro and tell him we're surrendering to Cuba. And the soldier says, yes, sir. Did he say, oh, you joking? Oh, you tripping. He said, yes, sir. So here was the interesting thing. Jack Nicholson's character, Tom Cruise feels like Jack Nicholson's character gave an order for what's known as a code red, a form of hazing to get the soldier in line. Why is it challenging in Lieutenant Daniel Kaffee's situation? Because unlike, again, civilian life, if I tell somebody in this room, hey, go shoot JoJo, and they go shoot him, I'm not going to jail, I'm not going to prison. Because I could easily say, Alan, you're talking crazy. But again, in the armed services, when you give an order, that order is to always be followed. So Jack Nicholson's character had told someone, one of his subordinates, to order the code red. So Tom Cruise had to find a way to get Colonel Jessup, Jack Nicholson's character, to confess that. And I really related to his situation because it was a challenge, particularly towards the end, and this is where I give the spoiler. Demi Moore puts him in the toughest position. She basically says, I want you to achieve this objective. I want you to, because then we win the case. But I gotta let you know, by the way, if you don't, your whole life is fucked. Because if you try to get him to confess that he ordered the code red and you fail, then not only will you be disbarred, you will be court-martialed. And Tom Cruise looks like, well, fuck. And I related to him in that movie again, even though I've never served the armed services, just that predicament, like, damn, I gotta go after this objective, but if I fail, my whole life is essentially over. So it's a key moment. There's a lot of great scenes in this movie. But what I call his breakthrough is he calls Colonel Jessup to the stand and he starts asking him all these questions that is somewhat related. But the judge doesn't feel like his questions are going anywhere. So he says, Lieutenant Caffey, do you have any more questions for this witness? And he just stands because he's thinking about that predicament. And he looks at his colleague. And his colleague gives him a subtle shake of the head like, no, don't do this. He looks at Demi Moore. She kind of has a look like. Jessup says, do you have any more questions for me, Danny? I mean, clothing and footlockers. Surely this is not what you brought me on the stand to answer. Do you have any more questions for me? And he's just standing there because he's thinking about that predicament. So Jessup gets up and walks. And then he says, Tom Cruise develops a pair of these and his backbone strengthens. And he says, I didn't dismiss you. And Colonel Jessup was like, excuse me? I didn't dismiss you. Sit down. I was like, because within the world of that fictional character, that was his breakthrough moment. He manned up. And at the end of that movie, if you watched it, did you notice the look that Demi Moore gives him? Anybody notice that look? What look did she give him? Like, you became a fucking man today. George McFly, Back to the Future. Think about it, George McFly, man. I mean, you guys are laughing. Let me take a swig. George McFly in the movie Back to the Future, love that movie. But he was Biff's bitch. Just to put it in blunt terms. He was Biff's bitch. And he was on a trajectory to live the rest of his life, if not as Biff's bitch, somebody else's bitch. Until he was put in a position where he had to man up. And it ran through his mind that, damn, if I don't change something. And again, I want a lot of you all to marinate on what I'm saying. I'm not just giving movie buff recaps. A lot of you are here because you faced some challenges in your life that left your ego bruised, that left your sense of manhood and masculinity shaken. You might even say, why the fuck am I even on this planet? Do I deserve to be here? Everybody just browbeating me, bullying me around? But George McFly, man, he said, in his mind, I can no longer be this dude's bitch. and he swung and knocked him out. And when they go back to present day, you see his whole life is different because he had a breakthrough. He had a breakthrough. So I'm saying that to say that everybody here is looking for that breakthrough. Somebody, it might not be something I say, it might be something one of the earlier speakers have said already, or somebody who comes behind me, but hopefully you will go home and you will think about what I told my former mentee. You will think about all the people who doubted you, all the women who disrespected you, various factions of society that browbeat you, tried to get you to conform to their way. And you will have that breakthrough moment. Because speaking of George McFly being biz bitch, what was even more profound was William Wallace. Who can forget that powerful ending of Braveheart? When I'm gonna change the dialogue and bring it up to modern day street terms, but essentially at the end of that movie, that dude was like, all you gotta say is that you're gonna be my bitch for the rest of my life and I'll take that rope off your foot. That's all you gotta say is that you're gonna be my bitch for the rest of your life and I'll let you down. And Mel Gibson's character, William Wallace, was basically like, fuck that. He said, freedom! Because he was willing to die rather than be another man's bitch. Because if you choose to live that life where you're going to be just punked for the rest of your life, that's when you become beta. I'll send you your beta mail card in the mail and you can, put it on the wall or something. I'm a proud beta. I let everybody in life punk me, whether it's my wife, girlfriend, my mother, people at work. I just let them punk me. As it relates to what I do, which is these are 4 of my audiobooks. That's my updated, I have an updated version of my most well-known book, Mode 1. Dating coach. I know a lot of people here are married or in relationships, but that's my primary demographic. And I'm also BDSM and polyamory consultant. Just like that. Now let me go back to this book. Who Say It Again? It's all about verbal seduction. So you might be wondering, well, Alan was talking about these breakthrough moments. How does that relate to him being a dating coach? Some of the guys here, a lot of guys here were totally unfamiliar with me. I was just joking with Rolo because a lot of guys came up to me, they said, hey, you're Alan Roger Currie. I said, hey, yeah, you own my bus. No, we heard you interview Rolo Tomasi on your Blog Talk radio show. I said, oh, okay. Yeah, matter of fact, it's funny, I stopped doing my show in June of 2016, and every now and then I'll go and check the numbers to see how many listens of episodes that I still receive, because I know people listen to my archives. Who's head and shoulders #1 in listens since I ended my show? That guy right there, Rolo Tomasi. But who said again, in part 2, I have 6 what I call verbal seduction stories. The first one is the biggest one. I would call this my breakthrough moment. I was about 20. I had 2 close friends that had set up a double date. And the day before the double date, one of the women's younger cousins came in town unexpectedly. So she wanted to hang with the girl. So initially the one woman said, we're gonna have to cancel because my younger cousin. And my friend said, well, how old is your young cousin? Thinking it might be a little girl. She said, oh no, she's 19. I said, oh, well, we can find somebody for her and to keep her company, we'll make it a triple date. So my close friend calls me and said, Alan, we need you to be a wingman. Take one for the team. Here was the kicker. He said, you ain't gonna get no pussy. You ain't gonna get no pussy tonight. We are, but you're not. I said, damn, that's hell of a motivation for me. Here's what was gonna be worse. The friend had a studio apartment, which meant if they were gonna start fucking, I was gonna have to watch them fuck. So he said, you're gonna be here just to take one for the team, but I said, okay, I'll come through. Now, this younger cousin, there's some brothers in here, so they're gonna be able to relate to what I say, and even some non-black guys if they've dealt with black women. Just like with any race, you got your different classes. Now, black women that are solidly middle class, they tend to have a high degree of femininity to them. This particular woman, I would almost call her 2/3 middle class sensibilities and 1/3 from the streets sensibilities. And sisters from the streets, at the risk of generalizing, they're always gonna try to challenge your manhood. Like, gross understatement, gonna try to challenge your manhood. So the first hour of this date, every little subtle advance I tried to make to this woman, she talked to me like I was a bitch. Get your hands off me. What are you doing? What do you think I am, a slut or whore? I ain't no two-bit slut. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what kind of women you used to dealing with. You ain't gonna get no kiss from me. Shoot, I'm just here. I don't know what they told you, but I don't know what's going on. And my two friends are just shaking their head like, fuck. Who is this bitch? So their dates are just being, just very sweet. My date, she's just being just a bitch from hell. And so at one point, one of the friends just looks at me like, man, y'all need to go out the room or something. You're killing the vibe here, man. We ain't gonna get no pussy with this chick acting like this. So I get up. And again, this is chronicled in Verbal Seduction Story number 1 at Who Said Again. But I get up and just walk out. I walk out the apartment building, I'm just walking, I'm mumbling under my breath like, this fucking bitch. Fuck. I mean, she just took my backbone in that room and just got an axe and just start slicing it. Just destroying it, just emasculate me on the spot. So unbeknownst to me, she's behind me. She comes out and it turns out she followed me. And she starts taunting me. Oh, what the matter? You pound, oh poor baby. I mentioned George McFly. In the book, y'all laugh, but in the book, I literally do. I call this my George McFly moment. And it's the reason I'm standing on stage right now. Now, up to this point, my mother had always conditioned me to be the nice guy, be polite, never say anything that will rattle a woman, ruffle her feathers, come across as crass, disrespectful, rude. And I adhere to that social programming. 2 words I will plug a lot, I always do. But that moment, it's like I heard her in slow motion taunting me. And I turned around, I looked her dead in the eyes as I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. Now see, nowadays you listen to rap music and you think all brothers talk like that to women. But me coming from the middle class background that I did, that was like the huge no-no, like you would never say that to a woman. But I looked her dead in her eyes and I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. Now here's the thing, I'll give you a tip about women, about this alpha male, beta male delineation. Anytime you say something bold to a woman, it could be something sexually explicit, or it could be a harsh criticism or insult. 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time, the first thing they're gonna do, they're not gonna look at your hair, they're not gonna look at your clothes, they're not gonna look to this side or that side, they're gonna look you directly in your eyes. And why do they do that? Because they wanna know, are you really alpha? Or did you read some PUA book and you're trying to pretend that you're alpha? So when I said, bitch, shut the fuck up, her eyes zoned in on my eyes. And she said, excuse me? And I said, I didn't stutter. I said, shut the fuck up. And we locked eyes for a few seconds. And the most amazing thing happened. She completely softened up. She said, you tripping. I don't know what got into you since you was upstairs, but you tripping. I said, you got two options for the rest of the night. Option A, you gonna suck my dick like you owe me money. Option B, if you're not gonna suck my dick, you ain't gonna say shit to me for the rest of the night. I said, now who drove here, you or your cousin? She said, I did. I said, where's your car? She said, over there. I said, yeah, we can go to your car because you're gonna suck my dick. So we're in the car, and she's sucking my dick, and I take my dick. I ain't gonna lie, I take my dick out of her mouth, I just start tapping it on her face. Judge me if you will. But I say, think about how you treated me earlier. You were acting like just a straight up bitch. And she said, I know. She said, but now I'm your obedient good bitch. And anybody familiar with my show, I have a podcast show called The Erotic Conversationalist. And you often hear women refer to themselves as my obedient good bitch. That's where it started. And also a phrase I use, obviously by the title. When she said that, I must have said about 10 times, I said, say it again. She said, I'm your obedient good bitch. I said, say it again. She said, I'm your obedient good bitch. I said, say it again. So we go back up to the apartment. Now, remember, what did my close friend say? He said, you're gonna have to take one for the team. You ain't gonna get your pussy, we are. They're still just making out. I come back in the apartment, I said, get on your knees and suck my dick. She says, yes, sir. My two buddies, they're like making out. They're like, she sucks my dick for a while. I said, now get on all fours. I'm going to fuck you, doggy. So she says, yes, sir. And they're like, what? So we end up fucking. And then one buddy, he pulls me. He said, dude. Did you get her drunk outside? I said, no, man, no. Did you? I said, no, man. Here's the most interesting question. He said, did you take some classes in hypnotism and you didn't share it with me? As a matter of fact, I was in the screenwriting. I wrote a script called Hypnotized, but that's another story for another day. I said, no. He says, dude, this is the most amazing shit I've ever seen. When you two went in here the first time, dude, this woman was the fucking bitch from hell, dude. She wouldn't even let you touch her arm. And now she's like your fucking personal sex slave? And I said, yeah, man. I unleashed my erotic dominance. And now my backbone is made of steel. And from that point on, I was never the same Alan Roger Currie again. So when I hear young men, and particularly young brothers, talking about, oh man, I can't deal with these sisters. They got all this attitude, man. They talk all loud. I'm like, your backbone ain't strong enough. Once you demonstrate how big your balls are and how strong your backbone is to a woman, if that woman has some degree, that much degree of attraction to you, she's gonna go from yelling and saying, excuse me, to you tripping. Mode 1 was my first book. Possibility of sex. Now, you notice Anthony introduced me as the godfather of verbally direct game. Now, for those who are familiar with the PUA community, you can almost argue that there's been two factions, what's known as the direct versus the indirect. In simple terms, direct is when you want to fuck a woman and you essentially let her know you want to fuck her. Not rocket science. Indirect, you want to fuck a woman, but you're going to go to one degree or another in a beat around the bush way. God, that's a nice dress you got on. I want to fuck you. God, who does your hair? I want to fuck you. Wow. Do you come to this restaurant often? I want to fuck you. Oh, yeah. So where'd you go to school? I want to fuck you. That's all indirect. So indirect guys, honestly, they've attacked me over the years. Over the 10 years I've been a dating coach. Oh, the worst thing you can do is verbally tell a woman straight up that you want to fuck her. You'll kill the sexual tension. And besides, it's unnecessary because women know you want to fuck them. Duh. They know already. Anybody in here see me speak in London? No. I spoke in London in 2010. It was a critical moment. There's another direct dating coach by the name of David X. He was on stage and I ended up joining him. And there was these two women on stage. And it came a time during this stretch where actually my credibility was on the line for a few moments. Because similar to these criticisms from these indirect guys, this woman on stage said, no man needs to verbalize his sexual intentions to me because as women, we already know you want to fuck us. We already know you do. So there's no point of you telling us verbally and straightforwardly that you want to have sex with us. And probably 3/4 of the guys in the audience in that auditorium looked at me, because I looked at the audience, and they looked at me like, Alan, I think she might be right. Matter of fact, I don't even know why you're here now, because that's a good point. Your whole Mode 1 thing is about being verbally direct. Why do you need to be verbally direct if she said that guys don't need to be? I just look back at the audience like, I'll be vindicated before I get off this stage. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Sure enough, she talks. Then she starts raving about this male platonic friend of hers. Let's call him Chuck. She's like, oh, Chuck is the greatest friend in the world. God, he does my laundry for me. If I need somebody to, lift heavy boxes, he comes over. Oh, he does just everything. And David X was like, well, Chuck wants to fuck you. Why are you leading him on like that? He wants to fuck you. And she's like, no, I'm not leading him on. I mean, he's a great guy. David X was like, I love David X. But he said, he wants to fuck you. And she's like, well, he never said anything. The look I'm giving now is the look I gave the audience, and they just lost it. The reason you let a woman know you want to fuck her, or you don't even have to use the F word, you can use PG-13 language, is not so much because she doesn't know. It's because, and this relates more to this book than even Mode 1, The Possibility of Sex, you want to let a woman know that you're not going to allow her to waste your motherfucking time. There's a clip from a movie I love by the director I love, Michael Mann. It's called Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. And there's a brief scene in there where Al Pacino visits one of his confidential informants. And he thought this confidential informant was going to have some valuable information, and he didn't. And he just says a simple line, but I used to play it all the time on my blog talk radio show. He says, Albert, today, you wasted my motherfucking time. Don't waste my motherfucking time. Women, if you allow them to, will waste your motherfucking time. And your time and money. And that's why this book is called The Possibility of Sex, because how are they able to waste your time so well? Because they know that you in your mind are saying, I know I have the possibility of fucking you. So I'm gonna take you out to 5 dinners. I'm gonna help you lift heavy boxes. I'm engaging 20 hours of bullshit, trivial conversation with you. Women love to be flattered. They love to be entertained. They love that empathetic listening ear. I had a guy who I've known from high school days. He's here in Orlando. We went out to dinner. And he was admitting to me, he said, Alan, even though I know this is the book that gets the most juice, he said, this book helped me. And this is when I attracted a lot of what I would call the red pill crowd, was this book and this book. But he said, man, I was every woman's just good friend. And he said, you talked about the empathetic listening ear guy, that archetype. You never want to be this guy. The guy who, you get that call, she's like, Fred, can you come over? And you're like, what's wrong? You know, that asshole Leon, he did it again. And you're like, okay, I'll be over. And then you come over, she's like, yeah, Leon, like, I like always tell him like when he's fucking me not to slap my ass real hard, and he did it again. And like, I always tell him, don't come in my mouth, but he comes in my mouth all the time. And you sitting there like, yeah, he's an asshole. He's a fucking dick. See, if I was like your boyfriend, I would treat you like a queen, and I would treat you like a princess, and I would like, I would never slap your ass or like come in your mouth without your permission, of course. I mean, I would never do none of that stuff. See, that's why I love you, friend, because you're such a good friend. You're like a teddy bear that talks. And that's what my friend said he was to all his friends. He said, man, they would just tell me all these stories about them getting fucked by other guys. And I said, what did you realize? He said, that they were fucking her and I wasn't. And as I talked about beta male revolution, for those, and I agree with Rollo in one of his presentations, he said there's some guys who would quickly discount, oh, there's no such thing as alpha males versus beta males. Remember what I said about them eyes, I'm telling you. Keep that in mind. Women will always zone in on your eyes when you say something alpha. Because they want to know, are you a genuine like some women will challenge you to the highest degree just to see if you're gonna break down. They will challenge you to the highest degree. Let me get moving with these multiple slides I got. The basics. All relationships between men and women fall into one of 3 categories. Strictly sexual, casual sex lovers, fuck buddies. Strictly non-sexual, just talked about that, purely platonic friends. Time spent together both sexually and non-sexually, that could be marriage, cohabitation, boyfriend, girlfriend, friends with benefits. My main area of expertise is verbal communication. I help men. There's various manifestations of masculinity and manhood. I concentrated via verbal communication. As a man, how do you choose to verbally communicate to women which type of relationship you really want with them? Directly, indirectly, or not at all? Most men and women are not honest with each other regarding what type of relationship they really want. That's why we have what's known as manipulative head games. If every man who wanted a strictly sexual relationship was to honestly tell a woman that that's what he wanted, and if that's what she wanted, she was to say, that's what I want too, there would be no such thing as head games. If every woman who wanted a purely platonic friendship was to tell every man that straightforwardly, and if that's what the man wanted, he would reciprocate, there would be no such thing as head games. But that's not the reality of life. Example of a man. You really want either a strictly sexual relationship with a woman, or you want to spend time with a woman both sexually and non-sexually, but you temporarily or indefinitely pretend as though you are content with a purely platonic friendship with her. I call that fun clubbing. That's a term I made very popular among my fans and followers. Fun clubbing. That's essentially when you're pretending to be content indefinitely with just a friendship with a woman, but you know deep down you would either rather be her next long-term boyfriend or one of her casual sex lovers. But you don't have the balls to say that. You really want a strictly sexual relationship with a woman, but you temporarily pretend as though you are interested in a relationship that is long-term, emotionally profound, and strictly monogamous. Not to disparage all PUAs, but that's what a lot of PUA types talk. I got into a clash at one event where a PUA type specifically said that. He said, here's the way you get into a woman's pants. You pretend like you're open to being her next long-term boyfriend, but then once you get the pussy, you make up a reason to break up with her and tell her that you just really wanted casual sex. And I said, that's bullshit. An event organizer like, Alan, you're rocking the boat, man. You're rocking the boat, man. You can't have this. I said, that's bullshit. And I asked this dude directly. I said, would you want some dude doing that to your mother, your sister, your daughter? Making her think he's falling in love with her just to get the ass? Why don't you develop some fucking balls if you just want some casual sex pussy? That's what those guys are known as. Women call them pigs, dogs, lying assholes, game playing jerks. 4 archetypes of women. Once you communicate to a woman what your desires and interests are, they're going to generally fall, at least according to me, in one of these 4 categories. The first 2 are pretty straightforward. Reciprocator. You let a woman know you're attracted to her and you want to connect with her romantically or strictly sexually. And she says, I'm down. I'm attracted to you. I'm down. Rejector. Don't need any other further explanation than that. The 2 trickier types, and I've alluded to them already. Wholesome pretenders and erotic hypocrites. This is just a more challenging and antagonistic version of this. These are the women, you heard me mention social programming. See, from the time women are young, they talk about mommy and daddy, whoever else is influential in their life. You need to be a good girl. You need to present yourself as an innocent, wholesome, good girl. That's the only way you're going to attract a husband, if you present yourself as a good girl. So that becomes the angel on that right shoulder. The good girl social programming. But a guy like me comes along and says, you know what? I want to get your pussy wet. I want to slide my dick all in your pussy and make you come. Hear you moan all over my dick. She says, oh my God, I'm not that kind of girl. I'm a good girl. How dare you talk to me like, talking about putting your dick all in my pussy like that? Fucking me like that. That's filling your balls on my ass. How dare you talk to me like that? See, that's when that little devil emerges. It says, shoot, I like the way he's talking. Let's go ahead and give him some pussy. Right, angel on the right shoulder. No. You're a good girl. Remember what your mommy and daddy told you. You're a good girl. Wholesome pretenders, they give you at least token resistance. No, I'm not that type of girl. No. Erotic hypocrites are going to be similar to that woman on that triple date. They're going to come at you real hard. You jerk. You creep. What do I look like? I don't sleep with guys that are just me. What do you think? What's wrong with you? I'm a respectable woman with a 6-figure salary. Are you crazy to think I'm just gonna have random sex with you? Let's go back to the rejecter. See, rejectors, if they're not interested, they just simply say, I'm not interested. They don't raise their voice. They don't get theatrical. They just say, I'm married, I'm engaged, I got a boyfriend. Or simply, I'm not interested. Blah, 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 blah. And see, this is when I first gained my reputation among close friends, because they would see me interacting with these types. And at first they would laugh. They'd be a few feet away, laugh like, man, Alan's crashing and burning. Look at this chick, she's cursing him the fuck out. Then they would see her soften up to the point where she's just like, you tripping. Why? They tried to challenge my backbone. And I didn't allow them to. Because what would always stay in my mind is, she's still talking to me. She insulted me to the highest degree, but she's still standing there talking to me. She ain't walked away. Manipulative time wasters, already alluded to them. That relates to my book. Matter of fact, my book, Who Said Again, emphasizes these two archetypes. In my book, The Possibility of Sex, talks about these. These are the women that want you to think you get at least a chance at getting in their pants. And a lot of you guys fall for it and say, oh man, she's just a challenge. She's playing hard to get. No, she's not. She's never. These women in this category are never, ever, ever giving you the pussy. Ever. They just want, at minimum, you to invest time flattering them, entertaining them, or providing them with an empathetic listening ear. At maximum, if you got means, they want to get as many financial favors from you as possible until they get bored with you and dismiss you. Now, it's funny. I've even had some other dating coaches give me blowback on this. On my first 3 archetypes, like I'm going to call one out by name. She's from London, Kezia Noble. I was interviewing her on my Blog Talk Radio show. When I talked about reciprocators, she was like, yeah. Rejected, she was, of course, like, yeah. When I talked about these, she was like, yeah. Got to this, she was like, no, Ellen, I disagree. She tried to say that manipulative time wasters were the same as these. I said, no. Women don't like to acknowledge that there's manipulative time wasters. Why?
Bad. Make them look bad.
Yeah, that too.
Can't let the secret get out.
Yeah, all valid. I was out in the nightlife just last night. And I told you I'm a people watcher, I read people. And all these women in these sexy outfits. Do you think that these women were going to these clubs looking for dick? Do you really? Do you think any woman in these hot, tight, short mini skirts were out there looking for dick? When a woman could just go on her Instagram or go through her Rolodex black book and find dick. Now, if they all went out there and sent out the message that, hey, none of you beta males who are out here partying are going to get any pussy from me, would the beta males spend money on those nightclubs? Would they offer women free drinks? Shoot, the national economy would crash. They take advantage of the possibility of sex. My 4 modes of verbal communication. Can everybody say mode 2? One more time. Mode 2 behavior. That's characterized by a verbal communication style that's cautious and indirect, pleasant and polite, flattering and entertaining, vague and ambiguous. Underlying attitude for mode 2 is, I want to do everything possible to get you to like me, and I want to do everything possible during my conversation with you to prevent you from criticizing me, insulting me, and prevent you from experiencing any sort of negative reaction to what I say or how I say it. Now, some guys will say, Alan, is it true that men who behave like the proverbial well-mannered nice guy have tremendous success with women? See, even dogs know how to give right eye contact. The fuck? Takes me back to the speaking engagement I had in London. Some guy said, Alan, I've read your book and I respect some of the things you say, but it sounds like you're just telling guys to be, just kind of like a verbally blunt jerk. And I'm more of a classy gentleman. I'm more of a nice guy. Women categorize me as a nice guy. I said, oh, really? Uh-huh. So I asked the whole auditorium. I said, how many of you guys in here think you're classy gentlemen and well-mannered and polite, nice guys? And probably 95% of the guys raised their hand. And I asked them one simple question that afterwards you could hear a mouse fart. I said, how's that working out for you? All the guys just started looking at each other like, shit. Because the reality is, if the nice guy thing was the ultimate key to success, why in the fuck are you in this auditorium listening to me? Any woman's gonna think you're nice if you're flattering to her all the time, if you're willing to entertain her all the time, you never challenge her sexual sensibilities, you help her move heavy boxes when she wants to move from one apartment to the next, you treat her to lunch and dinner on a monthly basis. I mean, what is there not to fucking like about you? When you're just playing up to her all the time and accommodating her and shit. What is there not to fucking like about you? But you ain't getting no pussy wet. And if you do happen to fuck her, that's a charity fuck. So she can keep you motivated to lift more heavy boxes and do the shit she wants you to do. Can everybody say mode 3? Dishonest and or disingenuous, intentionally misleading, fawning and or spineless, highly predictable and mundane. That's one mode where I divide them up to at least 3 categories. One is a mode 3 timid. That would be a guy who just goes to the party, like probably some guys last night. They go to a party, they get all dressed up, and they with their 2 buddies, they're like, yeah, we're looking good, yeah. Then they get into the club, and what do? They just stand against the wall. Damn, she's hot. Fuck. God, look at her shit. Fuck. God, I love the fuck. God, look at her. Oh, shit. Look at those tits. God damn. Okay, guys, you ready to go? Yeah, let's go. Mode 3 target. He plays right into the gold digger's hands. That's the guy. He got enough confidence to start a conversation with a woman, but 95 to 99% of his conversation is, hey, what's your name, Angela? Yeah, I own a house on the beach. Yeah. Drive a Porsche 911. Yeah. Yeah. This is a real Rolex watch. Yeah. Yeah. I went to Harvard. Yeah. And he's hoping that all this impressive stuff he says, woman's gonna be like, oh my God, I need to just open my legs for you right now. You're so impressive. And then after he says all the impressive stuff and he doesn't get laid, he's like, fuck, I guess I gotta move up from a Porsche 911 to a convertible Bentley. That's the ticket. No, he's just a target. And then the third would be going back to my concept of fun clubbing. Some guys, I've known guys to fun club not only for weeks or months, but years, literally years, just pretending like they wanted nothing romantic or sexual with a woman under the guise of I'm her friend while they're fantasizing about her. Underlying attitude for mode 3. I want to do everything possible to prevent you from knowing my true thoughts and my true romantic or strictly sexual desires, interests, and intentions. I would rather not express my desires and interests to you honestly at all than to express them honestly and have my desires and interests abruptly and blatantly rejected. Guys say, Alan, wouldn't you agree that it's better to just not approach women at all and instead always wait for them to make the first move towards you? Sure, you're right. Sure, you're right. If you're a major entertainment industry celebrity or a professional athlete, you can possibly get away with that. Maybe certain other exceptions as well. But for most guys, man, the other exception I might say, if you're a regular guy, you're just like amazingly good looking. But other than that, you're gonna have to approach a percentage of women if you want to connect with some women. Can anybody say mode 4? Mode antagonistic and intentionally insulting, hypercritical and obnoxious, bitter and resentful, verbally abusive and even hateful. Typically, when you go into mode 4, you start off in mode 2 and or mode 3, and you get pissed because of how many times you've been rejected, how many times you've been ignored. So you develop this attitude like, man, all women are fucking bitches, man. Fuck them. Fuck them. They're bitches, man. They ain't shit. They're all no good scum of the earth. And if they even gain the confidence to approach a woman, they immediately have a negative attitude. Like, I know you're one of those no good bitches, but hey, you know. They don't even talk to women to really try to hook up with them. They just want to try to insult them, undermine their ego, their feelings. Underlying attitude, as I just mentioned. I've allowed a lot of you women to verbally abuse me, disrespect me. Key word, allowed. No woman can disrespect you unless you allow it. Remember that. To verbally abuse me, disrespect me, and mislead me and manipulate me in the past, or most of you women have rejected me or totally ignored me, so now I'm going to treat you women like the no good bitches that you are. Some guys will say to me, Alan, wouldn't you agree that it's best to just be a complete dick with women when you approach them? You know, say something like, hey, you filthy whore. You want to lick my balls tonight, you no good bitch? Isn't that like mode 1? A lot of guys will confuse and conflate mode 4 with mode 1. If you were in the company of a woman who was attracted to you, but she was doing a damn good job of pretending as though she was not interested in you, how would you expose her facade? If you were in the company of a woman who was interested in a romantic relationship with you, but she was doing a damn good job of pretending as though she was only interested in maintaining a purely platonic friendship with you, how would you expose her facade?
Call her on it. Tell the truth.
Exactly. If you were in the company of a woman who was only interested in you spending time flattering her, entertaining her, doing financial favors for her, but she was doing a damn good job, and it's the manipulative time waster, a damn good job of giving you the misleading impression that she was on the verge of allowing you to become either her next long-term boyfriend or a next short-term casual sex lover, how would you expose her facade?
Say what you want. I bought it.
Let's say it together. That's the answer to all those questions. Mode 1, you approach women with a high degree of self-assurance. You open the conversation with them with a high degree of self-confidence. You let a woman know that you find her physically attractive, sexually appealing. That's not obligatory, but I always suggest that. And then from there, you simply invite her to share your company. Here's key. This relates back to, I don't believe in the misleading women, particularly as it relates to casual sex. If your interest is in some form of short-term and or non-monogamous sex, don't try to hide that, deny that, or bullshit women about that. Because in the long run, it makes you look weak. Makes you look like a weak, no backbone, verbal coward. That's what it does in the long run. No woman respects that shit. Even if you get the pussy, you're not going to be respected. And along this quick line, I remember I was in Vegas and this guy said, Alan, man, I read your book, man, but the thing about you, man, you try to apply with this honesty stuff, you try to apply ethics to getting laid. And there are no ethics to getting laid. And he had like this cheerleading group of 3 or 4 guys. They all laughed like, yeah, he's right, man. Alan, Roger Currie, you try to be Mr. Ethical getting laid. I said, oh, really? I said, oh, okay. Why don't we go out later on today and find a 14-year-old girl and just gangbang her, just fuck the shit out of her? He said, oh my God, dude, are you perverted? I mean, I said, what? You got some age-related ethics? He's like, I said, maybe that was extreme. Let's find a 21-year-old woman. While you got her talking, I'll put some date rape ecstasy drugs in her drink, and then she'll drink, and then we'll take care of her. Damn, dude, like, I said, what's wrong? You got some ethics related to drugs? And he's like, touche. Then our cheerleading group just got up from the table and walked away. And bottom line, I said, you may not have the same exact ethics as I do, but you just revealed that you have ethics. All guys got some type, well, I ain't gonna say all, there's always exceptions. But most guys have some type of ethics when it comes to getting laid. Mine is be straightforwardly honest with women that if you just wanna fuck them to be fucking them, tell them that. If a woman rejects your invitation to share a comedy, so what? Life goes on, move on to the next woman. Don't dwell on it. Don't let it beat up your confidence. Just move on to the next woman. As I already mentioned this, wholesome pretenders, erotic hypocrites are going to either at minimum resist you, at maximum they're going to try to challenge your backbone. Be prepared for that. Say It Again. Again, is my book that centers around wholesome pretenders and erotic hypocrites and mastering erotic dirty talk. Let me clarify this real quick. Some guys think dirty talk is just about going up to a woman and just randomly saying a bunch of X-rated shit. Who can get a woman's pussy wet 100% of the time? I like that confidence. I like that confidence. Okay, other than him, who can get a woman's pussy wet 100% of the time? Okay, there you go. Hugh Hefner, I give him much respect. He passed away, of course, recently. He said the greatest sex organ is not between your legs, but it's between your ears. I don't know how many of you guys know, but just like a lot of men watch porn, women read erotica novels like crazy. I was in a Beverly Hills bookstore, and I was looking for this book, and all of a sudden I see this one aisle where these women were just like about 8 women in this short little corner. I said, what the fuck is going on here? They having a little powwow? So I'll go back. It says erotica. Here's a tip I noticed. Have you ever seen a woman start off standing like this, and all of a sudden she goes? I was telling some guys last night about this. See, you probably think, oh, she's just getting tired. She want to lean on. No. One of the things I talk about, Say It Again, I give a couple of tips on. You can read women's body language when their pussy is getting wet. One, their tongue becomes more active. It'll usually come out and up to the left. And if they're sitting down, they'll start crossing and uncrossing their legs. Or if they're standing up, they'll do a lot of this. Because an ex-girlfriend was the first one to tell me that. She said when the pussy juices begin to flow out, it makes it uncomfortable for you to just stand like that. So they do. And in this erotica section, all these women kept doing this. They were reading these books. Nothing is more powerful than the thoughts and sexual visualizations that women create in their own mind. So my technique, you could say, when I talk dirty to women, is I just throw out suggestions to provoke their own mind to unleash certain thoughts and visualizations. Because a woman's mind always bats 100. Always bats 100. Manipulative time wasters are going to do everything possible to delay reciprocating your desires and interests, and even more so, they're going to do everything possible to postpone revealing to you that they really have no interest whatsoever in engaging in sexual activities with you. Do not allow these women to trick you into wasting valuable time and money. Half the reason I'm Mode 1, again, why I'm verbally direct, is not so much for the objective of getting laid, but to prevent women from wasting, the ones who are not interested from wasting my fucking time and money. That's what the possibility of sex is about. Beta male revolution, I should give Rollo a shout out in this book. This is kind of my brief version. I'm not a historian by any means or a sociologist, but I go back to pre-feminism days and bring it up to current society, mainly for my younger male readers. Because if you were born as a millennial, you might not understand why are things the dynamic the way it is. But in simple terms, pre-feminism, like I use my mother. My mother didn't even think about having premarital sex, and none of her 2 sisters did. And most women in that generation didn't, because she knew my grandfather would disown her. But then women said, These are our bodies. We want to do what we want to with them. We want to fuck who we want to fuck, whenever we want to fuck them. Society, reluctantly maybe, said okay. So they just start fucking like crazy, which is their right. If women want to fuck like crazy, they can fuck like crazy, but they got to be willing to deal with the repercussions and consequences of that behavior. And that's when the alpha beta delineation became more pronounced. So there's certain guys that women would just fuck just for the enjoyment of fucking, but other guys, they would say, you got to provide me with something if you want to fuck me. Alpha fucks, beta bucks. Now, I'm not going to get long-winded on that, but a lot of guys who are red pill aware have both enjoyed that book, but it's left, that and the possibility of sex have left some guys traumatized, because if you're a guy who didn't realize the true nature of women, and then you're exposed to it, if only for a few days or a few weeks, it's gonna fuck you up. You know, like I got one story, the infamous grocery store story that blah, 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 a long time followers. They're like, Alan, wait a minute, you met a woman in a grocery store, and 10 minutes after you met her, she was on her knees in the grocery store sucking your dick. I'm like, yes. Man, what about the guy who's married to her now who thinks she was the good girl? You had this woman sucking your dick 10 minutes after you met her in the grocery store. I'm like, yes. Some guys find that just lightheartedly amusing. Other guys, that fucks them up. Because her mother told them that all women were little good girls. That's my website. I'm on Wikipedia, Patreon, LinkedIn, all the social media. It's been my pleasure. I apologize for going a little longer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.